Om Shanti. Many people told the way to reach the heaven, but the Brahma Kumaris method to reach the heaven is very natural way. In this course, we learn the following. First one is the who is the human being? Where did he come from? What is the aim of human life? Second, who is the God? What is his role on the earth? Third, what is the heaven and hell? Where are they formed? Fourth, what is the method to go heaven? We learn one by one now. What is mind? What is soul or consciousness? The world will soon become a better place to live in, and we will soon have the golden age or the era of peace and plenty if man realizes the self as distinct from the body, practices soul consciousness, and on that basis adopts the motto of world brotherhood. In order to end the iron age, the society has to understand that the root cause of all sufferings and troubles in the world is that man has gradually come to identify himself with the body. Today, little does he realize, and much less does he practice the truth that in this body, the eternal spark of life and light called the soul. The body is like a temple, and the soul is like the flame of light, or like the deity in a temple. The body is like a car, and the soul like its driver. The body is an assemblage of instruments in the shape of various organs, whereas the soul is its user. The body and the brain are like a computer, whereas it is the soul that programs it and uses it. The body is not for its own sake, but for consent, our user called the soul. The soul is like a microstar. It abides in the body midway between the eyebrows, where devotees in India apply tilak, a sacred mark. Here it is connected with the brain and the nervous system. The soul has three intrinsic abilities which the body or anything else made of matter does not possess. These are: first one, the ability to think or wish or will; 2. The ability to judge, understand or investigate; and the ability to retain impressions of past thoughts in the form of attitudes, moods and habits. The first of these is known as mind, the second as intellect, and the third as samskaras or the resolves. It is the ability which distinguishes one man from another and determine the mental and moral state of a person. One who is given to violence and other evils is known as a sinner. The other who makes efforts to purify his thoughts, judgment and resolves is known as a Mahatma or an elevated soul, whereas the one who has completely divinized himself is called a Devatma or a deity. It should thus be clearly borne in mind that it is the soul that suffers or enjoys because of its bad or good actions, for mind is not an entity separate from the soul. Rather, it is the name given to the manifestation of soul's consciousness. The world and the other world. The world in which we are now located is known as the grass or the corporal world because all living beings here have grass corporal form. This is also called the mortal or the ephemeral world because anyone who is born here has to die one day, and there is constant change in states and affairs of this world. It is also known as Karmakshetra, the amphitheater of action or the drama stage. For everyone here does some acts and reaps the fruit thereof in the form of pleasure or pain. This very world is heaven or paradise in Satyayuga or the golden age, and silver age called Treta Yuga, and hell in Dwapara Yuga, copper age, and Kali Yuga, iron age. This world is located in a fraction of ether, the Akash Tattva. Beyond the sun, moon, and stars of this world is another world. It comprises three regions which belongs to three angels, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankara. These regions are Puris, are located one above the other. In each one of these is divine light, present everywhere, and this light differs in color from region to region. There is thought as well as action in this deity world, but there is no sound or voice. There also there is speech. This world is also known as the angelic world or the subtle world. Beyond this is at another world. It is known as Param Dham, Paraloka or Brahmaloka. One can call it the highest heaven, a golden red divine light known as Brahm is omnipresent here. There is perfect calm and purity in this region. In this world, the self-luminous point-shaped souls abide in the incorporeal state when they have attained liberation or mukti. Above them all abides the Supreme Soul, the Godfather Shiva, the Jyoti Bindu. So, in order to practice meditation, let us take our mind to the soul world where there is golden red light called Brahma. In that light, let the eye of our mind see a constant our point of light or a micro star, radiating light, peace, bliss, love, and might. Let our mind remain focused on the Supreme Soul Shiva. Now let us meditate thus. I am a soul, a twinkling, conscient of our star, radiating light. I am an eternal child of God, the most beloved Father, the ocean of peace, bliss, love. While meditating thus, keep your mind stabilized on Supreme Soul in the soul world. You will experience light, spiritual might, bliss, and peace descending on you. You will feel as if you are a ball of light, emitting light and the vibration of peace and divine love. Meditation as means of linking the self to God. Physical energies like heat, light, sound, magnetism, and electricity of this material world are they are not of much use in helping man to have link with God, for the simple reason that he is not a material entity perceptible through the physical sense organs. He is subtle, eternal variety, far, far away and far different from any of the forces mentioned above. He can be contracted, therefore, only through the thought energy, which surpasses both in speed and intensity all the above mentioned forces in that it can, as it were, go through space and the remotest and subtlest regions to the incorporeal world. In other words, meditation is the only means by which the soul can at once contact the Supreme Soul. Mind rests in God, who cures the soul of all the sufferings and ailments in the form of evils, and who gives the most valuable knowledge. Thus, the knowledge of all these relationships to God should awaken our love for Him and enable us to remember Him constantly like a true yogi. The trouble with man is that he has love for the money, love for power, love for flesh, and love for worldly objects and relations, but no deep founded and real love for God, the mother, father, and friend. So his love has taken the form of greed, selfish motives, sex, and attachment. This has created problems for him and for the world. Love of God, that is, yoga, spiritualizes and purifies man's love and changes it into love for all. So let us know have link of love with God. Universal truth about God. There is evidence to show there was that a time, however, in the remote past, when people of almost every major religion in the world believed that God is Jyoti Bindu, an eternal self-luminous point-like entity. The traditional, the ancient lore, the sacred monuments, and some scriptural texts refers to this radiant form of God. For example, Christ also said that God is kindly light. It is noteworthy that some Buddhists in Japan practice concentration on this form. They call it Chinkonseki, meaning one who gives peace. In Makkah, the sacred most pilgrimage of Muslims, there is symbolic black stone having this form, and it is a tradition among the Mohammedans to touch it or to kiss it from a distance to signify their love and reverence for God. They call this stone as Sang-e-Ashwad. Nanak, the founder of Sikhism, and Govind Singh, another famous Sikh preceptor, also believed God as light. In the Old Testament also, it is mentioned that Moses had a vision of this form of God near the bush on the mount. All these facts point out that once upon a time founders and followers of almost every religion believed that God was of this form. In India, for example, people in large numbers still go to Amarnath, a famous temple in which snow takes the oval form every year. Again, millions of people still hold the belief that Sri Krishna, the famous deity, regarded God as Shiva, the divine light point as the supreme being, and the Gopeshwaram temple in Brindavan is a testimony to this fact. The Somnath temple, which is supposed to have been installed by the well-known king Vikramaditya and which finds special mention in the history of India, also enshrines a symbol of this form of God. Again, Rama, another historical figure widely worshipped in India, is believed to have paid homage to Shiva in Rameswaram, and the temple there is said to be witness of this fact. Let us tell one and all that God, the Supreme Soul, does exist. All of us can have perception, experience, or vision of Him. Yoga is the way for the extra sensory perception or God realization. Yoga means focusing the mind on God, the transcendental, microstar-like conscient variety who is related to us as our spiritual mother father. The linking of our mind to God will bring you bliss, peace, might, etc., which also will be a proof of God's existence, just as the flow of water from a tank full of water at a higher level to a tank at lower level serves as the proof that the farmer has water. World drama wheel. It is necessary to know how God acts into relation to this world, which passes through 5 different phases, namely Golden Age, Silver Age, Copper Age, Iron Age, and Confluence Age, as indicated by the swastika in the picture of the time wheel. The world during Golden Age has complete purity, peace, and prosperity, and in the Silver Age also it enjoys all these three to, to the extent of 2 degrees less. In the Copper Age, sex lust, anger, greed, and attachment appear into this world. Ibrahim, Buddha, and Christ established their respective religions one after the other. Despite all this, unrighteousness, violence, and peacelessness go on increasing gradually in this world. In the Iron Age, there is rapid degeneration in moral and spiritual values, so that at the end of Iron Age, the climax is reached. At this time, God descends into the body of an aged man, whom he names Brahma or Adam. He, the creator of Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar, and Shankara, get his 3 acts done. Through Brahma or Adam, he imparts godly knowledge, teaches easy Raja Yoga, and inculcates divine qualities. Thus, he transforms human beings and elevates them spiritually. This brings about the new golden aged world again. Those who do not divinize themselves suffer destruction and also punishment for their evil acts. The act of destruction of the Iron Aged vicious world is carried out through Shankara. In the Golden Age and Silver Age, the righteous world is sustained through Vishnu's corporal representatives, Sri Narayana and Sri Lakshmi and Sri Sita and Sri Rama and their dynasty respectively. Thus the wheel of time goes on non-stop. The four yugas are epochs, including the Confluence age, are of 5,000 year duration, each of the first four yugas being equal to 1250 years. The cycle has been going on and on since eternity. Now we should know that the world is heading towards a catastrophe because of overpopulation, acute shortage of food, pollution of environment, depletion of the sources of energy, increasing mental tension, and above all, erosion of moral values and extinction of the feeling of brotherhood. There will not be total destruction or dissolution of the world, but it will be an indescribably major destruction through nuclear war, natural calamities, civil wars, starvation, etc. It is the last chance for man to give up exploitation and greed, anger, and vengeance, sex lust, and prurient habits, pride, and sloth, and while discharging his social and family obligations. Be true yogi for his own sake, for world's sake, and for God's sake. World Geological Tree. The history of this world is depicted here in the form of genealogical tree called the Kalpa tree. On its trunk is first shown the Golden Age and then the Silver Age, each having the duration of 1250 years. During this period, there was only one practical religion characterized by complete wiselessness, non-violence, and peace. Therefore, the sovereigns and the people of that era are known as Devatas or deities. Sri Lakshmi and Sri Narayana were the first holiness come highness in the solar deity dynasty in the Golden Age. And Sri Sita and Sri Rama were the first holy sovereigns in the lunar dynasty in the Silver Age. Gradually, there had been a discipline in purity, so that in the beginning of the Copper Age, sex lust, anger, greed, etc., accompanied by peacelessness, made their first appearance through in a very mild form. This happened because by and by people had become body conscious. Now various religions began to be established. Abraham, Buddha, Christ, Shankaracharya, and Muhammad established their respective religions. Scriptures were written, worship performed in various ways. Temples, churches, mosques, etc. were built and pilgrimages of holy places came into vogue. In course of time, these religions, the branches of the Kalpa tree, got split up into sub-branches so that there was now internal strife and hatred. Then came the Iron Age with more and more decay in moral values. Religion has got transformed into rituals or had become mostly theoretical by now. Now the world had reached the stage of complete irreligiousness and unrighteousness. Today, USA and Russia have built up a great stock of nuclear weapons, which, in combination with natural calamities and civil wars, are ready. In the near future, there will be a great destruction in the world. Knowing this story of man from age to age, we should now make sincere efforts to transform ourselves into deities by means of Raja Yoga. We have now the golden chance offered once in a kalpa, for we have now the direct guidance of God, Supreme Soul, the perfect Guru, and the Yogeshwara. For he has now taken a corporeal medium to bring about the golden age in the world. The time we are now passing through is known as the auspicious Sangam Yuga. Amrutvela, time to get elixir. Brahma Muhurta, the most sacred hora when man should meditate on God. We can let this pass only at a grave, recurring loss to ourselves. The ladder of 84 lives. The rise and fall of the series of births and rebirths of man may be compared to a ladder or a staircase, having 84 steps as the maximum. When the soul first descend from the soul world, they have goodness, purity, and good qualities in them, and are therefore in their golden age. They take 8 births in all in the golden age, the reign Sri Lakshmi and Sri Narayana and their son dynasty, and have all the good things that this world has. They descend along these stairs to the silver age, which also is of 1250 years, like the golden age or any other age. Their stage of purity, peace, and prosperity has by now lessened by 2 degrees. In this age is the re of Sri Sita and Sri Rama and their moon dynasty. They take 12 births, for the average lifespan of person in the silver age is 125 years, whereas it was 150 years in the golden age. However, both these epochs are characterized by Satoguna. Then comes the Copper Age, the period of Rajaguna, when worship of Shiva, Shankara, Vishnu, and other deities is started, and temples are built at great cost to perpetuate their memory. During this epoch of 1250 years, the soul takes 21 births in all. The king and the subjects in the age are no longer worship worthy or deity like as they were in the golden age and the silver age. They have now become worshippers of their own ancestors and of their own previous forms even. This is followed by the Iron Age, during which Tamoguna pervades into the world. Now the worship of imaginary gods, the fire, the tree, the water, etc., also takes place, and people become extremely body conscious and irreligious. Religious conferences are held, but to no avail. It is at such a point of time that the advent of God, the knowledgeful, peaceful, blissful, and Almighty Father take place. He, the Redeemer, takes all souls back to the world of liberated souls through yoga or through expiation and chastisement of souls at the hands of the divine adjudicator. That time has now come. He, the world's beloved Father, is now teaching easy Raja Yoga. He, the world's beloved Father, is now teaching easy Raja Yoga to purify the soul and enable them to have peace. The great destruction of the world through a nuclear world war is round the corner. From crime age to divine age, man today is unheedful of what effect his actions will have on others. He has a scant regard for the welfare of others. His insatiable greed has resulted in inhuman exploitation of others. In this, he has gone even to the extent of depriving others or of bare necessities of life. Black marketing, hoarding, bribery, and adulteration hold no bar for him. He can adulterate even such things as foodstuff and species and what are called life-saving drugs. He can sell spurious medicines too. It may injure the health of others. He even pollutes the atmosphere and the water resources through the industrial wastes, chimney soot, and smoke from the motor vehicles to the detriment of all. To be brief, man is now living on brother man. He has now become cruel. His anger is now more wild than even the wild animals themselves. Too possessed with language and reasoning faculty, he strikes head against head to settle his disputes, and his head has horns too, and his hands have the claws too. He has spent astronomically high amounts to pile up atom and hydrogen bombs for destroying civilization and for feeding the cannon with fodder through millions of his brothers have nothing to feed them with. Sex indulgence has now become a means of recreation. About 40 million people are being added to the world every year, with a great danger to the human race. Yet man has this animal instinct in such high degree that he has surpassed all animals in this amorous game and has even invented devices to avoid births. Too, he continues to to indulge in his prurient habits. One can go on adding endlessly to the list of crimes and vices, for man today has become barbarous, liar, cheat, hypocrite. He wants to deceive God even by blaring up his prayers by the use of a microphone or by raising temples after making money through unfair means. Such being the state of society, let us warn that the world is heading towards a major catastrophe through overpopulation, nuclear war, natural calamities, civil strife, and environmental pollution. But let it be noted that divine effects are also going on to sow the seeds of a divine world, order by implanting divine qualities in the mind of those who are willing to listen to the divine call and to charge their ways. Those who would care would go via divine knowledge, Raja Yoga, and virtues to the divine world. Vagaries of mind and emotional disturbance. Man's mind today become vagrant. This has caused him a grave emotional stress, and the latter, in turn, has given rise to many problems in the sphere of the family, the nation, and the whole world. An analysis of the situation would show that most of the problems today, whether in the sphere of the family, the nation, or the world, stem from any one of the six main kinds of perversities or uncultured tendencies of mind. For example, the sex lust in man has resulted in the oversized families, in thousands or millions of uncared for and unwanted children, and unemployment in the nation. So, in the world today, we have the grave problem of overpopulation with its economic implications and social and other ramifications. The situation has become explosive due to baby boom prevention. It has been rightly said is better than cure, and so the wise solution of all this would be to observe the noble principle of brahmacharya, continence, so that man's better health and spirit and stamina is used for higher and nobler causes. Again, anger is that causes man mental tension, nervous disorders, emotional disturbances, and family broils, and rocks the nation with many disorders. It brings forth violent agitation, strikes that paralyze the industries and causes small and big wars. It makes man organize at a tremendous cost the firing squads and fighting brigades rather than the fire firefighting brigades. It would be a holy and happy day when man realizes that harsh words are like scissors that cut asunder. Then hysterical fits, for under their influence, not only does man lose his own balance, but he also disturbs others. Greed too has had its own heavy toll. Gluttony, hoarding, tax evasion, and earning by unfair means, which are various forms of greed, seriously erode man's personal integrity and moral fiber and heavily tax man's tranquility. It raises the number of gamblers, hoarders, profiteers, black marketeers, and all other who want easy money. The legal profession thrives, for litigation increases, and law becomes complicated and voluminous. There is economic exploitation in the world, and the rich shed only crocodile tears over the fate of the lower lot. Should man learn from that Alexander the Great said to his generals when he was dying, the world would be a better place to live in. The man who earns by unfair means dies a sorrowful death, for he has caused sorrow to so many people. He may collect astronomically large amounts of money, but he can't eat more than his hunger demands, not, nor can he sleep in more than room. Attachment to one's relatives and friends or to articles of food also gives to man many shocks in life. It proves nerve wracking when a near and dear one is down with some disease or dies because of it. One who is tied to someone by mental bonds goes in life like two persons joined in a three-legged race. Because of attachment to one's caste, language, communities, or country, the world is today divided into various fighting factions or nations confronting other nations. As acrobats leave their swing or sling to hold the hands of others, hanging down from their slings in full view of the spectators, the nations today enter into various alignments. The line of nationalism has almost devoured the brain of venturing UNO. Now one can safely cross the ocean of the world if one considers attachment as the rock and roughness of the sea of existence and as an obstacle to smooth sailing in life. Pride also raises high tides in the mind. A proud man sees a magnified image of his own self as one sees one's face in a concave mirror. He is happy in the company of flippants and S-men only. He rides roughshod over those who are men of small means. He is in the habit of blowing his own trumpet or beating his own drum. A nation which has people drunk with pride has to pay a high price to keep itself united and to set its house in order. For this, there is always a tendency in its people to tear away and form into separate groups. The world today is suffering badly because of leaders who are men, proud of their economic strength, territorial superiority, bigger population, etc. Would not man have sanity if he understood that pride of all these is a childish prize of mere toys? Thus, it will be found that abstinence from these five vices, besides the sixth, which is sloth or indolence, is the path of wisdom. A Rajayogi takes to this path. In other words, he becomes a holy man. In fact, such a path is not only to a man personally, but to the family, the nation, and the whole world. Delusion, illusion, and enlightenment. When a man is body conscious, his knowledge of things is not such as should illumine his mind and give it virtue. For instance, when he sees a beautiful lady, he becomes bewitched by her facial appearance, easily forgetting that this is a momentary phenomenon. But the reality has dawned on a Raja Yogi who knows that all that glitters is not gold. A beautiful photo, for example, has its negative in which the figure looks like a ghost. So the beauty of form does not captivate him, he only appreciates it. Similarly, too, a Rajayogi earns money and makes use of it, yet he does not hanker after it nor lose his mind. If he loses the money, for he knows that money rolls on. A non-yogi may notice hostility, opposition, or hate in certain persons, though it is actually based on his own deceptive mind. Even as a boy sometimes sees a ghost in some plant in the darkness. But a Rajayogi keeps his mind free of negative thoughts and tension. Similarly, yogi does not feel bedazzled by sense objects as a deer does on a hot day in summer, wrongly perceiving the sand dunes at a distance as ripples of water. A non-yogi may feel very proud of his ownership of a little piece of land, but a yogi considers the whole world as a family. A yogi talks out of necessity only and gives proper regard and love to others and says things without any prejudice and without authoritative tones. Thus, he is saved from odd situations resulting out of rebuff from others. Likewise, he does not keep himself bound by the shackles of whatever is old by giving to it the beautiful name of ancient culture, but he considers things on their merits. The past may be worthy of only being shown in a museum rather than being translated into life in modern conditions. Again, too, he likes and admires the beautiful trees and fruits. He is not overwhelmed with one-sided feelings because deep in his mind he knows that inherent in it are the forces of involution. Thus, a yogi is free from delusion and illusion. He is truly enlightened. His source of knowledge is God, and so he knows the universal and ultimate truth. He has knowledge of past, present, and the future of the world, and also knows the regions beyond space. Pillars of Raja Yoga. Yoga enjoins upon its practicant a divine discipline because the aim of yoga is to purify the mind. to bring about a transformation in outlook and attitudes, and to give to man a holy and happy frame of mind. In other words, the high stage of yoga stands on some strong and firm pillars. Of this, chastity, continence, or brahmacharya is one. A yogi is not attracted towards the physical charms or towards sex indulgence because his outlook has changed. He looks to the beauty of the soul. His mind is stabilized in Brahma, as the word brahmacharya connotes, and therefore he now takes pleasure in spiritual love towards all as a brother to other brothers, because he is now soul conscious rather than attracted to the body. This soul consciousness and brahmacharya gives him great physical stamina, moral force, and spiritual strength. It enhances his willpower and gives him clarity of judgment, efficiency, and equipoise. Another important pillar is the sattvic diet. Food has great effect on one's mind. A yogi does not take meat, eggs, alcoholic drinks, and tobacco. He does not kill for his food, nor does he earn his bread by unrighteous means. He makes offer of the meals to God and then takes it as prasadam. God blessed, consecrated food that becomes and purifies the mind. Satsanga is another important pillar. One who wants to be a good yogi has to refrain from bad company, bad looks, and bad thoughts, and should attend the spiritual congregations. This helps in acquiring good habits. Divine virtues also constitute one of the pillars. Without humility, contentment, cheerfulness, introvertness, sobriety, geniality, and other divine qualities, yoga does not stay. Sorry. If we ponder over deeply, we will come to the conclusion that man loses his mental calmness and equipoise either because he takes an intoxicant or stimulant, that is non-sattvic food, or because of his sex overtures and loss of stamina, or because of lack of any divine quality such as toleration, amiability, geniality, humility, etc. Therefore, it is necessary that in order to be a Raja Yogi, one takes only sattvic food, observes brahmacharya, and cultivate divine qualities in the self. For this, one should attend spiritual congregations. In other words, one should build the edifice of yoga on these four pillars. Divine virtues. It is the divine qualities that make man a gentle and a noble man. and enables a person to become a great yogi. The divine virtues give man spiritual strength and peace and enable him to serve others truly and thus be near and dear to them and to God. Cheerfulness stands high among these, as a flower spreads its fresh fragrance all year round in the atmosphere. A smile on man's face cheers up the spirit of others who come in his sphere. Thus, a cheerful man does silent service to others. Tolerance and patience too are sterling qualities. They give to man's mind and strength of steel. Like the seat cushions or the buffer springs, they work as shock absorbers in life. One who has these can withstand great hardships and bumps. Sweetness of language and temper is another great virtue. One who discerns only the good qualities of others is a man of great merit, as a bee collects sweetness from flowers. So does a man who has an eye for others' merits gather good points, and he himself also becomes a store of sweetness like a honeycomb. Humility is another high quality. One who thinks himself to be a humble man is considered by others to be a great man or a saint. A king wearing a crown rules over this kingdom only, but a man having humility, though without a crown, is a king in his own right. His kingdom knows not the barriers of territory of time, for he rules over the hearts of men of all ages. Fearlessness saves man from worries and suspicion that causes man pain. As much as a person being hanged on the gallows feels, thus he lives a carefree life as against a coward who, as the saying goes, dies many times before death. Contentment is of very great merit. A man who is contented is richer than the wealthiest man in the world, for he is not riding the wild horse of unfulfilled wishes. He considers the points of God's knowledge as so many gems being showered on him by God, and looks upon his righteous, righteous actions and his yoga as the great treasure. Self-confidence is undeniably a very important quality that one need have so as to attain success in any great task. It is this that enables man to consider a mountain as a mole hill, whereas one who lacks in this quality looks upon a mole hill as a mountain. Straightforwardness enables man to fit better in society. People don't have to be afraid of his intrigues or his tricks. On the other hand, a crooked man is like the nail or a peg which has many bends. Again, service to others and the spirit of renunciation are qualities that make a man truly great and happy. A man who has other qualities but lacks in these is like gold which lacks in fragrance. These are many other divine virtues come to a yogi as he establishes a link with God, who is the perennial source of these. The stages of yoga. When a person first begins to practice yoga, he is able to stabilize his mind on God for some seconds, while during other moments his thoughts are scattered in all directions and towards many objects. There are some practicants who are able to control and calm down their mind in a trice, and they bring it to focus on God without much efforts, whereas others take time to do it. But in either case, the effects are quite rewarding when the mind is stabilized on God, even for a split second. It brings so much inner peace and such an ecstatic taste to the mind that it is drawn again and again towards God, so as to have more such experience, even though the moments of concentration be few and short. This practice is at least an attempt to control the mind and to subdue it and brings it to a point, which in itself is a great thing and of great use even in the worldly life. So one should not get frustrated or become ill at ease with oneself if during the initial attempts one notices in oneself the inability to control the mind for a couple of minutes at a stretch. For even the idea of taking the mind to God is golden and rewarding in itself. Millions of people are poorer in their minds because of the lack of this idea in them. In the second stage, one is easily able to switch on one's mind to God, as one would switch on the light. One only thinks of God with a deep emotion, and that He is the most beloved guide and friend and mother, father, and one's mind goes in that direction, and only a very small fraction of one's thoughts fritters away. One begins to feel ecstasy and becomes intoxicated with the divine love and bliss. However, the full blaze of yoga has yet to be lit. That would be the third stage, called concentration. In this stage, a man finds light, peace, bliss, and might descending on him and spreading through him into the world. It is such a wonderful experience that one feels that all the treasures of the world fade into insignificance in the face of this attainment. At this stage, love, peace, and bliss don't remain merely stale and feelingless dictionary words, but one takes a dip into their essence, or one is drenched in them. These penetrate through one's very being so deeply that their effect lasts over long periods, even after this period of intense meditation is over. Powers through yoga. The practice of Raja Yoga or intellectual communication with God brings into the soul many spiritual powers. Of these, 8 are very important. The power to withdraw is one of these. A yogi can act like a tortoise, which spreads out its organs or draws them in it. The power to wind up is another one. Your yogi is not like those whose mind is scattered over the wide world and who is so much drawn out to men and matters that he is unable to sleep or to detach himself at his will. A yogi can wind up his thoughts whenever he wills. Yoga develops man's power of toleration. A yogi tolerates all verbal attacks on him and does good even to those who offer brickbats to him, as trees offer fruits to those who pelt stones at them. Practice of yoga makes man broad-minded also. It gives one the ability to accommodate others even as a sea embraces rivulets into it. One also gets through yoga the great power of decision. A yogi can take correct and quick decision. He also acquires the power to distinguish between right and wrong or good and bad persons, as an expert jeweler can easily distinguish the false from the pure diamonds. Yoga also develops in him the power to endure hardships. Adversities, like the death of those on whom one depends, may come in high storms, may rage strongly at his flame of equanimity does not get extinguished. Your yogi also develops in himself the spirit of cooperation. This is a great achievement because if everyone gives his little finger, the society could lift great mountains. Evidently, these powers are not only of personal benefit but are necessary for building a good society. These qualities help build better relations with all, help in one's profession, in the sphere of home, and in enabling man to be at peace with himself. At the end of the course, we answer for the questions asked starting of the course. The first question is, who is the human being? Where did he come from? What is the aim of human life? Human being is a soul. He came from Parandam or Paraloka or Brahmaloka. The aim of the human being is to become Sri Narayan or Sri Lakshmi in Satyayuga or Golden Age. The second question is, who is the God? What is his role? God is the supreme soul. The God is not for solving the troubles of our daily life. He is for converting the Iron Age to Golden Age. Next question is, what is the heaven and hell? Where are they formed? Heaven and hell happens here only. Golden age and silver age are called heaven. Copper age and iron age are called hell. Fourth question. What is the method to go heaven? Now we are in the last of iron age. For going to the golden age, we have to get the following. First one is the brahmacharya. Your yogi is not attracted towards the physical charms or towards sex indulgence because his outlook has changed. He looks to the beauty of the soul. The next one is the sattvic diet. Food has great effect on one's mind. Your yogi does not take meat, eggs, alcoholic drinks or tobacco. He does not kill for his food, nor does he earn his bread by unrighteous means. Next one is the satsanga. One who wants to be a good yogi has to refrain from bad company, bad books, and bad thoughts, and should attend spiritual congregations. Next one, he should get the divine virtues. Those are humanity, contentment, cheerfulness, introvertness, sobriety, geniality. And also he has to do Raja Yoga regularly. For more information, contact your nearest Brahma Kumaris centers. Om Shanti.